Good evening, everyone, from Memorial Field in Naperville. Steve Reiner along with Frank Kessman bringing you Illinois High School Association football, DuPage Valley Conference style, as tonight it's Naperville North versus Wheaton Central. Wheaton Central, Matt Mandrell will be kicking off to Naperville North. Let's make a change on that. George Figley will kick off, and there's a high end-over-ender from right to left. And Matt Eldridge returns it just over the 30-yard line to about the 33, and tonight we're going to hesitate a little bit because, Frank, we have ourselves another quagmire after getting a relief for the last couple of weeks.
Well, Memorial Field's taken quite a beating the last few weeks. Naperville Central, of course, Naperville North both play on the field. Last few weeks have been rainy, and the field is quite a mess this evening.
1st and 10. Pat Almazi at the controls for Wheaton Central. Deuce backfield, and the handoff to John Davis. As Davis tries to get some running room up the middle, but he's stacked up at about the 33 for no gain. 2nd down and 10 yards to go. The Wheaton Central Tigers starting lineup kind of reads like a mash unit, especially on defense. Their leading rusher, Rob Seabrooks, number 30, a sophomore, is out for the season. He hurt his knee last week against Glenbard North in a loss. And there's other replacements as well, especially on defense. Over the middle for Chris Joyce, incomplete. And you've got to kind of feel, Frank, with the field conditions tonight, it could very well alter the strategy as far as the coach is playing a little bit more conservative type of game, running the football as opposed to passing it.
Well, that could help the Huskies this evening from Naperville North. One of their strengths, of course, is their defensive line. And I think if Wheaton Central is forced to run the ball very much, I think they're going to find it tough going. You know, the footing is not going to be very good, and I think the Huskies can shift. They can move to the left, they can move to the right, and I think the Tigers will find it tough going tonight.
Naperville North declining the penalty against Wheaton Central. It'll bring up 3rd down and 9 yards to go. Of course, field position tonight, too, very important with the field so sloppy. Wide receivers to either side.
A little bit of confusion in the backfield. I think we're going to have another flag here.
Well, we saw it a couple of weeks ago against Naperville Central. Wheaton Central playing Naperville Central. A lot of early offside penalties and illegal motion penalties early. We can't see who committed the infraction because his jersey is completely covered with mud.
It looked like the right end there.
Yeah. So we're 3rd down and 14 yards to go after the penalty. Charles split wide right, Schmaling wide to the left, and the handoff to Davis. And no yardage on the play, so it'll bring up 4th and 14, and the Tigers will have to punt deep in their own territory. And I would say that it's a situation that John Thorne doesn't particularly want to be in. Deep in his own territory, that punt is going to take place back around the 15-yard line.
Well, the Huskies are lined up to receive it at about their own 35-yard, 40-yard line, make that. And a very high kick.
And it's mishandled. And
Dave Gully
Gully on
picked it
his
up.
way. One man to beat, and he's into the end zone for the score.
Looking for any yellow flags out there. I don't see any at the moment. That's Dave Gully for the Huskies. Broke one 60 yards for the score.
So Gully, after misplaying the punt, returns the football 60 yards for the score, and Wheaton North is on top, 6-0 at the 9:29 mark of the first quarter. Well, they're going to officially give him 66 yards on the muddy turf. Bruce Reynolds will attempt the point after. The snap and the kick is up. It's floating and it's no good. It's off to the right. So the score remains 6-0 in favor of Naperville North. Well, right off the bat, Naperville North, 66-yard punt return by Gully, and they're in the driver's seat.
Well, Gully's one of those fellas on the team for the Huskies that has some speed. He did misplay the kick early, or the punt early, but he got a break up the middle. There was some fine blocking, and he scooted through for the score.
Naperville North on top, 6-0. Starting tonight's action, a look at the DuPage Valley Conference. Glenbard North leading with a record of 5-0, starting week 8 of the football season. Wheaton North in second place, and then it's a tie between the two Naperville schools at 3-2. Who's going to win that one?
It's hard to tell. Hard to tell. Naperville North, of course, won the crosstown game a few weeks back. One of the big games of the season for them, with 2 games remaining in the season for each. It's tough to tell how it's going to end up. It'll be a dogfight, that's for sure.
So Bruce Reynolds kicking off, and the short kick is fielded and forced out of bounds around the 40-yard line.
I think they'll set that ball down about the 37-yard line. One of the interesting things about Bruce Reynolds, he's quite a high jumper in spring track. Last year went about 6'10" for the Huskies. Didn't show much leg on that kick, but given the conditions, may have lost his footing or miscued on the kick. Hard to tell.
Tigers of Wheaton Central break the huddle. Wing back to the right. And stacked up was John Davis. Hit immediately by the middle guard.
Well,
Make that Mike Schnellenbecker. Mike Schlenbecker making the stop.
As I said earlier, I think the Tigers are going to have a hard time running up the middle. The Huskies are strong on the inside, and it'll be tough going tonight, especially with the poor footing.
And the ball is mishandled. Bad exchange from center between Almazi and Steve Muchler.
Looks like the Tigers picked up the ball, however.
I'll tell you, I would think that the receivers tonight would be at an advantage as far as footing is concerned, because you look at the middle portion of the field, Frank, where the most of the running takes place. There's no footing there, but there's green grass a little bit to either side of that.
Right, to the outsides. I haven't seen Wheaton Central send anybody out wide too far to the side yet this evening. I'm sure the conditions of the field played a part in that bad snap from center. The ball is sitting right in the middle of that bad portion of the field.
The officials are going to really have their job cut out for them tonight, keeping the football dry. This is the kind of night that schools run up a big laundry bill. Slot formation right, and giving it to John Davis, who bulls his way forward for some yardage and a first down. The first Wheaton Central first down of the football game as he crosses the midfield stripe inside of Naperville North territory.
Could have been a saving tackle there by Dave Gully. I think he looked like the last man between there and the goal line. Of course, he was the fellow that just ran the ball back for 67 yards for the Huskies. Looks like he's going to play both ways this evening.
Wheaton Central starting this drive at their own 40-yard line. They break the huddle. Jamie Wagner, a sophomore, split wide left. Andy Charles wide right. Almazi on the option. And the sack is made.
Ed Cassanders on that. Breaking through.
So that's a loss of at least 2 yards.
Make that a loss of 4 yards on the play. He was either in their huddle on that last play or guessed right, because he was through there like a shot.
Somebody missing their blocking assignment, perhaps. It's time, double wide receivers to the near side, and John Davis gets the call. Wheaton North trying to get so far running at the Naperville North defense up the middle, apparently testing those interior linemen. The strength of the Wheaton North or the Naperville North defense lies where, Frank?
I'd have to say it's those the fellas on the middle. You're looking at Chris Pradle, you're looking at Dave Bendis, Schlenbecker made a tackle early. I think the Tigers will have a tough time getting through that middle. They're going to have to look to the outside. They're going to have to play for the option if they can get into a part of the field where they can get some footing. I don't think they'll make it up the middle tonight.
Well, again, they try it, and John Davis is stopped.
Jeff Wright for the Huskies, one of the linemen on that tackle.
The middle linebacker for Larry McCune in his third year at Naperville North, previously at Plainfield High School. You were telling me before broadcast time.
Took the Plainfield squad down to the playoffs one year, as I understand it.
Well, that same Plainfield team, or Plainfield High School rather, having a good year again this year, leading the Little Seven Conference starting this weekend's action.
Again, the official trying to keep the ball dry.
Oh. That is a task.
Just inside Husky territory at the 49.
There's the snap and the punt. It'll take a bounce, and it'll be downed by a Wheaton Central player at about the 25-yard line.
Dave Gully back again for the Huskies. The ball took one very high bounce, and I think Dave thought better of trying to field it and make a run.
5:48 to play in the opening quarter. Naperville North leading on a 66-yard punt return. And carrying the football was Bart Smith. Smith with great quickness, and apparently the ball's loose, and the Tigers have recovered.
Well, there's a big pile up there on the right side. It was difficult to tell exactly what happened on the play, but the Tigers were jumping up and down, so it must be their football. That turnover with 5:32 left in the first quarter.
And the turnover comes inside Naperville North territory, so Wheaton Central faced with good field position at the Naperville North 33-yard line. Almazi up the middle, and John Davis, the ball carrier.
Looked like number 77, Mike Schlenbecker, in on the tackle. Jeff Wright also there. Be interesting to see what kind of plays the Tigers come up with now that they're on some of the grass part of the field. Some of the grass that's left might have a little better footing here.
On offense, Wheaton Central an option team. And again, John Davis, no gain. The stop being made by Dave Bendis, number 53, for Naperville North. Inside of 4.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Dave Gully, 66-yard punt return. The difference so far in this game. Third down and 5 at about the 21. Keeper Almazi near side, and the defense doing a very good job stringing out that play. Dave Bendis in on to make the stop, along with Jeff Wright.
Dave Gully was also over there.
You know, once the defense, the linebackers, in other words, you had multiple pursuit there on Almazi, it's going to be very hard to elude somebody like that with this particular, the ground the way it is, cutting.
Trying to get up the outside there.
Yeah. Almazi will throw it incomplete. Andy Charles, the intended receiver, in the near flat, and it's fourth down.
Was that the first play of the game, first passing play of the game for Wheaton
That was
Central?
the first passing play, I believe, yes. So Naperville North, the Huskies will take over possession on downs. At the controls, Tom Pasco sends a man in motion to the outside. That's Bart Smith.
Pasco, a junior, handing off to Bart Smith. Bart's also in his third year for the Huskies. A track man also in the spring. Very, very quick.
2:50 and ticky left to play in the game. In the first quarter, rather. Second down and 10. And 3.
Barely got the play off.
Now it's going to be a legal procedure call against Naperville North. Which will tack on a few yards and bring up a 2nd and 8 situation.
I think Bart Smith cut up a little early on that last play.
And again, Smith in motion. And making the throw down incomplete was Pasco.
And that pass intended for John Lucan. You know, Tom Pasco has started the last 2 or 3 games for the Husky. Did not start early in the season. Played junior varsity games. Did very well. A lot of throwing yardage, and I think that's one of the reasons why Coach McEwen has him starting the last few games. Some experience, of course. He'll be coming back next year. And I think they're looking for some passing yardage.
This time they split the wide receivers to either side. Mark Grady and Steve Martin. Pasco sets up in the pocket, incomplete on the crossing pattern to Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, number 82, or Mark Grady, number 84, will be Pasco's favorite targets for this evening. One lining up, of course, on the outside left, the other on the outside right.
So 4th down in a punting situation. Mike Van Gilder hangs one up. Takes a bounce.
That ball may have been
Naperville
touched.
North bounce, and it's going to be downed at the 37-yard line.
For a moment there, it looked as if one of the Tigers from Wheaton Central touched that football and then let it get past him. Apparently the ball then rolled out of bounds.
First quarter action, Naperville North leading 6-0 over Wheaton Central. Our game of the week this week on the Centel Sports Network. Andy Charles now comes split wide to the near side. And trying the left side that time of the line. Naperville North line. John Davis on the carry.
Gain of 6 or 7 on the play. Looks like the Tigers are convinced that they can run on that Naperville North line.
Second and 4. They've tried to establish that. There's a draw play to Davis, and Davis has got a first down as he bolts inside of Naperville North territory.
Dave Gully with the saving tackle for the Huskies.
Well, Dave Gully, the only person, as you mentioned, Frank, between John Davis and the goal line.
And the goal line.
Yeah.
23 yards on that play.
1st and 10 from the 34 of Naperville North. Quick drop and intended for Charles, but he was well covered by number 44, Dave Gully.
#21 Lou Scarosi back there also. Gully and Scarosi play deep.
.108 to go in the first quarter. Second down. Almazi again goes to Davis.
Jeff Wright in on that tackle for the Huskies.
I don't know if he's just trying to establish, if Almazi is trying to establish Davis to later vary it a little bit more since they do run the option, or just what. But he has gone to John Davis an awful lot tonight.
Both directions, left and right. And
up the middle.
Little success, at least
and
thus
look
far.
At the crowd here. Umbrellas are again. Well, again, it's John Davis. Fourth down.
Rob Schmidgall in on the tackle for the Huskies.
Well, working in this kind of weather can be pretty sloppy, not only for football players, but for cameramen as well. As I believe we had problems with one of our cameras before the game even started tonight. And snap of the football.
I don't think they got the play off. I think the quarter's ended.
That's it. We're at the end of the first quarter of play. And after one, it's Naperville North 6 and Wheaton Central nothing. A look at the cheerleaders of Naperville North.
I don't think the weather has slowed them up at all.
No.
I think they're ready to go. I think they're ready to go. Some conversation there out at the 35. Looked as if Wheaton Central thought they got that play off. A little conversation with the officials. This kind of weather unfortunate. Tonight was senior night for the hometown Naperville North Huskies. They, of course, honored their football players prior to the game, but the band and the pom-pom girls, the cheerleaders, were going to be honored at halftime, and, of course, those activities will be canceled because of the very poor conditions, the rain and, of course, the condition of the field itself.
Well, again, the DuPage Valley Conference, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, Glenbard North in first place with a record of 5-0. And then Wheaton North in second. Did the race surprise you this year at all? Most people feel that it was just typical of the DuPage Valley Conference.
Well, I think, of course, you got that scramble at the top. The Huskies, I think, if you talk to Coach McEwen, felt that they were going to be in it a little deeper than they were. Of course, they can still tie for second, a couple victory this week, and then a victory, of course, next weekend against Glenbard South. I think they thought they were going to be in the thick of it a little bit more than they were, but they had a tough loss a couple of weeks ago against Wheaton North. If you recall, 2 blocked punts in that game cost them the football game. And so they've had a fine season overall.
So some very tough luck losses.
That's the way it's been. Some close games, tough luck if you call it. Of course, everybody says tough luck, but somehow it seems like the score goes to the one that makes it happen.
Those 2 block punts against Wheaton North.
You don't see plays like that very often. Both of those punts were blocked deep in their own territory, about the 25-yard line, and then both of them picked up and run back to the 1 or the 2-yard line, and then both of them pushed over for scores, and that, of course, the scores for Wheaton North, and of course they came away with the victory on their homecoming night. That timeout charged to Wheaton Central.
There's a look at the Tigers breaking their huddle and going up to the line of scrimmage as we are set to resume play. Tigers with the football, fourth down and 6 at the 30-yard line. Almazi rolls out to the far side and hits his intended receiver, Chris Joyce. Chris Joyce, the tight end, making the reception down around the 20-yard line.
Bruce Reynolds in on the tackle for the Huskies.
So they'll move the chains for a first down. Central with their deepest penetration of the evening. In wide receivers either side. Wing back to the right this time. And it's going to be John Davis.
Looking for that room up the middle again.
Davis stacked up by a host of interior linemen up front. Up on the line of scrimmage, number 76, Rob Schmidgel. 77, Mike Schlenbecker. Am I saying that right, Frank?
Yeah, it's Mike Schlenbecker, right.
Okay. 54, Chris Pradle, defensive tackle, and at defensive end, Dave Bendis, number 53. No, Coach McEwen very happy with the senior leadership on his team this year. They've set a good example for the several juniors that he has on the squad. Again, John Davis, nowhere to run.
Well, I think that's one of the things that Coach McEwen was looking for when he made the quarterback change a couple of weeks ago. I think he's got some senior players out there that help stabilize the club and at the same time give Tom Pasco an opportunity to play, prepare himself for next year, push the Huskies forward this year with some passing yardage, something they haven't had this year. They've been primarily running the football with occasional passing yardage, but by and large I think the coach is looking for something a little different for the balance of the season.
Third down situation, Almazi going in the end zone, and it appears to be intercepted. And coming up with the football was number 21, Lou Scarozzi.
We've got some conversation there in the end zone.
Will the officials see some interference or what?
There's discussion
flag
taking
was
place.
thrown.
Lou Scarozzi looks a little upset by it all. Some of his teammates holding him back just a little bit. We're about to get the call. That's what it is. Pass interference against the Huskies.
Well, that will give Wheaton Central first down. So that is a break for the Wheaton Central Tigers.
Half the distance to the goal line, it looks like. Half the distance and a first down.
And it'll be 1st and 6 with 10:03 left to play in the first half. It looked like movement on the Wheaton Central offensive line. That's what the penalty flags. Yeah. It's also a penalty flag in the vicinity of the backfield and in the near flat.
Illegal procedure, the call. Backs the Tigers up 5 yards.
Coach Thorne has got to be, John Thorne has got to be wondering, after getting the break of the pass interference call, his team turns around and commits a penalty, so it backs him up.
What do you have to do to get it in the end zone?
Oh, yeah. And under playing conditions like these, you usually don't see 25, 30 points on the board.
Each score is important.
Very. Almazi slips. Again, we have some penalty flags. And a motion penalty against Wheaton Central. Back-to-back penalties. Well, if they keep this up, they're going to be inside their own territory.
That portion of the field that is taking a beating due to the weather is extending itself a little bit. The play down here between the 20, 25, and 30-yard line.
9:59 to play in the first half. And I've just heard over my headphones that the temperature has dropped 10 degrees. John
Gully
Davis,
on
the
the tackle.
ball carrier.
Dave Gully for the Huskies. They gave him 5 yards on that carry, down to about the Husky 12-yard line.
That'll bring up a second down and 12 situation. Davis fighting for yardage, and they'll give him forward progress, that is.
John Knoll on the tackle, number 46, one of the linebackers for the Huskies.
That'll bring up a third down situation.
They've just about gained back the penalty yardage that they picked up on the first 2 plays of this series.
Third and 6. Schmeling, that is, split wide left. The pitch to Davis. Davis will try the right side, and Davis, he's going to be stopped short, it appears, of the goal line. We have no indication that he did break the plane on the goal line from the official.
John Knoll again on that left side. The left linebacker for the Huskies brought him down. A timeout here. Wheaton Central taking their second timeout.
Fourth down.
And of course they have to get it into the end zone.
Naperville North trying to come up here with a goal line stand to keep Wheaton Central from tying up the ball game. They're trying to protect a 6-0 lead with 8 minutes 21 seconds to play in the first half. There's a look at your score. Steve Reinert along with Frank Kessman, and Frank is the assistant principal at Naperville North. You come to every game, I take it.
I've been to just about all of them. I enjoy following the team. I've been at North High School now for 10 years. And Coach McEwen has turned the program around. He's been with the Huskies 3 years now. He's done a real fine job.
What was the program like before Coach McEwen took over?
Well, we had a number of seasons that were up and down. We had, there were a few years early, about 6-8 years ago, the Huskies had some real talent. A couple of fellows went on to play some college ball and could never seem to put it all together. Some flashes of fine play, but never put it together, and I think Coach McEwen has done that.
Fourth down in a short 3, and this is a big play, and no indication that he got in. Apparently Naperville North is held.
The offense is going on the field. It looks like they have held. Once again, you know, they tried the inside of that line, and I guess the Tigers are convinced they can run up against them, but that's been the strength of the Huskies all season long. That interior lineman, the middle linebacker, it's been tough to penetrate those positions.
So for the second time tonight, Wheaton Central turns the ball over on downs to Naperville North. Huskies deep in their own territory. They send a man in motion. That's Smith. And the ball carrier, number 24, John Lucan.
Well, John Lucan's been playing all season long for the Huskies. He and Bart Smith, of course, in the backfield. Jamie DeVitro out the last couple of weeks with an injury. Lucan and Smith have picked up well.
Second down. And Bart Smith slants in off tackle. Gets close to the 8-yard line.
Of course, the Huskies starting deep in their own territory. Started at the 2-yard line.
Third down situation, 3rd and 6 upcoming. 3rd and down in short yardage. And Jacoby, the fullback, he's going to be shy of the first
I
down, or
believe
it's going to be
he's short.
close. It's going to be close. Well, apparently it isn't close enough to even warrant a measurement here.
No. I think he'll be a couple of, now the officials have called timeout. From my position up here, though, it looks like he's going to be at least a yard short.
6:42 to play in the first half. Well, they're going to call the chain gang out anyway.
I think with the condition of the field, you know, the chalk lines are hard to see. They want to make sure.
They've got a true mark. Well,
Closer than I thought.
about the length of the football, or a little bit more than that, as you can see on your screen. Officials measuring it out. A fourth, and we'll call it 1 yard.
Van Gilder in to punt for the Huskies.
Of course, that's a good move. Naperville North not wanting to risk turning the ball over this deep in their own territory to Wheaton Central on downs. 6:42 to play in the first half. Mike Van Gilder will come in to punt. The snap is there, the kick. End over ender. Andy Charles will field it.
Fair catch called.
And no return after the fair catch. So at the 46-yard line, that's where Wheaton Central will take over, at the 46-yard line of Naperville North.
Field position, of course, good for the Tigers here. They have plenty of time left to go in the half, an opportunity to score. They'll be playing from that portion of the field that won't give them very good footing again. The ball to the near side of the field as we look at it.
Wide receivers to either side. And John Davis to the 45, where he's stacked up. And on the stop, Mike Schlenbecker.
Number 77 for the Huskies. He's a pretty good sized young man. Goes about 275. Plugs up that middle pretty well.
In fact, just looking down the roster, there's several players over 200 pounds or more on the Naperville North squad, Frank.
Especially that defensive line. There's a couple of guys at 200, 210, one guy at 190. They're pretty strong.
Almazi on the keeper play, and he picks up the first down. First down as he's shoved out of bounds at the 30-yard line.
Ed Cassanders shoving him out of bounds. Dave Gully over there also to make sure he didn't get any further.
Well, they'll call it about 13 yards on the pickup.
I guess he didn't get out of bounds. The clock is still running. I guess he was down and then slid out of bounds, so clock keeps ticking. 5:31 left in the half.
A lot of judgment involved with a call like that around the sidelines on a night like tonight. And stacked up at the line of scrimmage, no running room for John Davis.
Jeff Wright, Schlenbecker again for the Huskies.
Second and 10 situation.
Not only is the footing treacherous, but of course that football, just the handling of it becomes difficult. The officials bringing in a new football, a clean, dry football after each play.
Almazi. Hand off to the second man through, and that's Davis.
Gully in on the tackle again for the Huskies. I think you're right about the temperature dropping. Some of the players are kind of holding their hands a little bit, putting them inside their jerseys. It's cooled off out there.
Well, when we were watching the sophomore game before the varsity started tonight, it didn't seem like you could see the players' breath. Now you can see their breath.
Right.
So it has cooled off considerably. Third down and 5 situation. They split Charles wide to the far side. Almazi drops back, and he's going to be sacked. And on the sack was Jeff Wright, one of the 4 captains on this Naperville North squad. dropping Almazi for the loss.
If I recall, he had the last sack too. A few series back, he was in the backfield again rather quickly.
So 4th down and long yardage, and Wheaton Central will punt to Naperville North. Dropping back are John Lucan, number 24. A fair catch called for.
And fumbled.
Looked like a Wheaton Central player had fallen on it. Well,
the official quick with the call, did call that the ball belonged to the Huskies. Tom Pasco still quarterbacking for the Huskies. Number 11, junior.
Well, he's been a real plus, hasn't he, for the Huskies so far?
He's done very well. He's got a very strong arm.
Trying to get to the outside, and Smith breaks one tackle and fights his way forward for about 4 or 5 yards. Nice play, nice run that time by Bart Smith, as he could have very well been trapped for a loss.
Coming around that right side to the near side as we look at the field, he was held up there by one of the defensive players for the Tigers. Gave several of them an opportunity to get over and finally bring him down.
2nd and 6 situation, Smith in motion to the outside. Jacoby, the fullback, butts heads, and he gets out about a yard shy of the 1st down.
It's getting very difficult to identify some of the players for Wheaton Central.
Well, I'm going to say it is a 1st down. Out to the 27.
It's John Lucan coming out wide to the near side. Mark Grady out to the far side.
Wheaton Central looking for the run, and an opening on the right side, or left side of the Wheaton Central defensive line. Nice pickup that time by number 20, Bart Smith. Quick huddle. Pasco throws. Complete.
It's 84. Mark Grady out to the far side. 5 yards, 6 yards perhaps on the completion, but there is a flag on the play. The Huskies tend to throw that pass long way across field. If I have my signals right, that's an illegal man downfield against the Huskies.
Well, I'll tell you, what, talking about Pasco coming up from the junior varsity team this year, he's only a junior, so he can only get better, and I'm sure that Coach McCune's looking ahead to his senior year.
I think that's one of the reasons why he's up and playing
Confidence
now.
builder.
Yeah. Tom played several games early in the season, junior varsity, scored a lot of points, passed for a lot of yardage. And this opportunity to play at the varsity level, play against the big boys, as they call them, as you say, he can only get better. He's out there having a discussion, or had a discussion with the official. But as always, the official
the official wins the argument
every time.
Almost without fail. Or in the case of the NFL, the instant replay wins the argument.
That's right. There's some real confusion going on now with the officials. First they marked off 5, then they marked off 15. Now they're coming back again. And I guess it will be a 5-yard walk-off.
That'll result in the loss of a down.
It will be 2nd and about 15. It has stopped raining here finally. Of course, the conditions of the field still terrible, but at least the rain has stopped. The umbrellas have been put away.
Pasco back to throw. Fakes, fires out, and it's complete. And a nice catch by Steve Martin. Martin in on the stop for Wheaton Central that time was Jeff Richards.
A sliding catch there by Martin. He seemed to have to come back for the ball a little bit, caused him to lose his footing, but he was able to slide and hold on to the football for the Huskies.
Pasco sets his offense, I formation, behind him with wide receivers split to either side. And upended at the 45-yard line was Bart Smith. He must have felt like he was high jumping there.
Of course, Bart Smith is one of the premier trackmen for the Huskies in the spring. He's one of the sprinters, runs the 440 relay, the quarter mile. He's quite an outstanding runner.
Mark Grady is split wide left. Taking the drop is Pasco, screens it
Very
out, complete.
Deep.
As John Lukin picks up the first down as he stopped down around the 30-yard line, 28-yard line.
And a timeout called by the Huskies. Of course, only 38 seconds left on the clock. They're looking for every opportunity to put points on the board. Pasco set that screenplay up very well.
Well, I'll tell you, if you can get the defenders to freeze, or draw plays are often effective on a surface like this. You get the defenders to freeze, or the linebackers to stay home, and boy, you've got yourself some yardage because they're not going to be able to cut to reverse their field.
Exactly. And as Pasco dropped deep on that screen play, several of the fellas were charging him. And, of course, after he looped that football over their head, they could not turn around. Pursuit was difficult. They are, of course, in roughly the middle of the field, and the conditions are just treacherous out there.
Well, we have 38 seconds remaining.
You know, this is the kind of game you expect, though, under these kind of conditions. Low-scoring contest. Every score, of course, very important. I think that's why the timeout, of course.
This time he splits Lukin out wide right, out of the eye. Pasco looking for Lukin, and he's got Lukin.
And he's got him.
Lukin at the 5-yard line, a nice tumbling catch. And I believe I see a flag out on the field. There's a flag in the area of about the 10-yard line.
I think that's a towel.
Okay.
I saw that out there a little earlier, and it fell from the official. He'd been wiping off the football with it, and yeah, that's a towel.
All right.
And a timeout again by the Huskies. 8 seconds on that play brings the clock down to 30 seconds to go in the half. The ball, I think they've placed the ball at about the 6-yard line.
.30 seconds remains to be played here in the first half.
Plenty of time, of course, for another score. They do have Bruce Reynolds, of course. He can kick the field goals. In fact, for quite some yardage.
I was just going to ask, what's Reynolds' range?
Well, he kicked
Where's
one.
He effective?
He's kicked one as far as the 40 yards. I think he had one from 40 yards out this past season. So he's well within his range. Well within his range. And of course, they're at the end of the field now, where the footing would not be too bad.
So they Pasco brings his offense up to the line of scrimmage with 30 seconds left. The Huskies trying to score here right before halftime.
Smith in motion.
Smith, and the handoff that time to Rick Glass. Oh, I'm sorry, number 20, Bart Smith.
Right.
Misread the number.
Some of the numbers are getting difficult to read.
Yes, they are. Quick square out. It's incomplete. It looked like it was intended for Lukin in the near corner of the end zone that time, Frank.
That, of course, to stop the clock. We're down to 8 seconds to play. I haven't seen a field goal kicker come out on the field yet, though. McEwen might be looking for the score. And it looks like that's what they're looking for.
So rather than try to kick the field goal, they're going to try to go for 6.
Wheaton Central now calls timeout. Huskies are at the 5-yard line. If they have one more running play, that'll be about it. They'll have to push it across this time.
Of course, the Wheaton Central defense knows that it's got to make a key stop here. This
2 scores under these kinds of conditions could be very important. Very important. Wheaton Central's had some field position throughout most of the first half. Just hadn't been able to push it across.
Now look at the Wheaton North faithful enjoying the ball game here tonight.
Crowd rather sparse. Of course, the rain was rather heavy early in the evening. I think that kept some of the fans home.
I think it did. The Wheaton Central side looks rather vacated, and I think probably a lot of people that came from Wheaton did head back, as you say, because of the weather. 3rd down. 8 seconds to play first half, and it's incomplete.
That pass intended for Mark Grady. He slipped. He was going to cut out to his left, look to the outside, and he slipped on the play. Incomplete.
Well, it was a smart play because they didn't even use up a second on the clock.
Well, that kind of play is also a safe play. You know, when you cut to the outside, the defender's behind you. The chance of interception is small as long as you get the ball far enough and to him. Now Bruce Reynolds comes out for the field goal.
And Tom Pasco will hold for him. This will be about a 20-yard field goal attempt. It's up. It is good. And it is 9-0 at the gun.
The clock
ending
runs
the
out.
first half of play, with Naperville North leading Wheaton Central 9-0 here at halftime. We'll return with second half action in just a moment. We're back at Memorial Field in Naperville with our score at halftime. Naperville North leading Wheaton Central 9-0 in a DuPage Valley Conference showdown. And just some quick stats in the first half. Looking at Wheaton Central statistics, Frank, versus Naperville North, it seems like North has a little bit better balanced out the pass with the run a little bit more than Wheaton Central, with Wheaton Central getting most of its yardage on the ground.
Well, I think as we saw throughout most of the game, the Tigers were trying to run that football up the middle. They felt they could control the football, control the game, and actually they have. They've controlled the football for over 17 minutes, the Huskies for a little over 6 minutes. And I think the time of possession, of course, doesn't tell the story of the score. Wheaton Central has controlled the football. The Huskies, of course, scoring on that big punt return by Dave Gully, and then on the late field goal in the first half. So the time of possession doesn't tell the score at all.
And of course, when you run the football a lot, you use up time off the clock. So that 17:24 mark, as we talked about, by Wheaton Central is pretty much indicative of because of the fact that they are running with the ball, trying to eat up time off the clock.
Well, it's the kind of game they apparently came in and felt they could play. It's a game that represents ball control. They've got some fine runners in the backfield. That John Davis and that Matt Eldridge, they've split the job between them primarily. John Davis 12 carries, Matt Eldridge with 7 carries, and they feel that they can control the football. We'll see what happens in the second half, being down by a score of 9-0, at least a touchdown and a field goal. And given the conditions of the playing field, they may have to change their game plan just a little bit. And we'll see, of course, what happens when they come out to play.
So Wheaton Central kicking off to Naperville North to begin the second half. Matt Mandrell will kick off, number 88.
We've got a pair of Huskies back deep to receive the kickoff.
There's a high end-over-ender. We know that much. And taking the ball is number 81. Well, the 36-yard line is where the ball is returned to, and that's where Naperville North will operate, 1st and 10. To begin the second half of play, they lead Wheaton Central 9-0.
I think the condition of the field will continue to be a factor. The Huskies have good field position, as you say, out to the 36, but they're playing at that middle portion of the field, and it'll be tough going.
And the handoff, that time to number 20, John Lucan, and the ball is loose. And we're looking for somebody to
give
let
us
the
a
Huskies,
signal.
okay, it was recovered.
That was Lucan's first carry of the game. He didn't carry the football at all during the first half. Bart Smith and Jeff Jacoby carried the ball primarily for the Huskies. So that was Lucan's first time with his hands on the football.
Second down play upcoming. Tight formation. Smith in motion to the outside. The pitch goes to Smith. Gets a good block up front and finds some running room. Good for a first down up near the midfield stripe. Two muddy Wheaton Central defenders making the stop.
Can't read their numbers at all at this point, I don't believe. Of course, Bart Smith, as quick as he is, coming to the near side of the field, getting one block at the line and able to gain some yardage for the Huskies.
From the 49, Smith in motion again, and the handoff to the up man. That's number 22, Jeff Jacoby, the fullback. He tried to turn it to the outside and then back inside, but couldn't.
Again, the official trying to keep the ball clean. Looks like he's going to place the ball right on the midfield stripe, right at the 50-yard line. Pasco giving directions to his backfield.
On the short gain, it meant right at the line of scrimmage was Bart Smith.
He got hammered. He got up very quickly, but he was hammered there.
Well, DJ Triba making the stop, and he let Bart Smith know he hit him.
Well, it'll make him think twice when he comes around that right side again.
Third down and long yardage play from midfield. Wide receivers either side. Pasco pumps and forced out of the pocket, going deep, incomplete.
That pass intended for Mark Grady. He pump faked once, looked like he might keep the ball, go around the left side. In fact, it looked like he had quite a bit of yardage over there. Opted to throw deep to Mark Grady, incomplete.
So fourth down in a punting situation for Naperville North.
I think
dropping back deep, Andy Charles. Go ahead, Frank.
I think you'll find if the Huskies get inside the 50 down to the 35 or 40, they're a four-down team. They won't punt. Once they get out to the 50, though, they feel they have to.
There's the snap, and the snap mishandled, and it's smothered by Wheaton Central. And let's see as they unpile. Well, coming up with the football was Dave Olson.
That ball down at the 36-yard line. I think the snap was good. I think the ball must have been wet. It was mishandled and just couldn't get it off. Van Gilder tried to get the punt off, could not do so.
Well, you were talking earlier, Frank, about how difficult not only is it to run with the football, but handle it. And so you're defeated from all ends tonight.
Good field position here for the Tigers.
At the 37-yard line of Naperville North. Almazi rolling out, passing and incomplete, and that's a penalty flag.
He's tapping one of the Huskies on the shoulder.
Well, apparently an ineligible receiver downfield.
That, of course, one of those penalties that hurts, not only for the yardage loss, but, of course, you lose the down as well.
And the official making the signal.
Those are the kinds of the mistakes that make a coach scratch his head a little bit. These kinds of conditions, every score is important. They pick up good field position, make a mental error.
Tell you that goal line stand by Naperville North looming pretty big right now, Frank. Late in the first half on Wheaton Central. No gain or little gain on the play.
Well, Well, for now, they've held on to their game plan. They're still looking for room up the middle. That left side of the Husky line still holding firm. They've been on the field a long time, too. You know, we were speaking of time of possession. The time of possession for Wheaton Central almost triple what it is for Naperville North. So that defense might be wearing down, and that may tell the story late in the game as well.
Good point. John Schmeling comes split wide to the near side with Charles wide to the far side of the field. Almazi gets a block and goes over the middle. It's complete. But just shy of the first down, Charles making the reception.
Bruce Reynolds, one of the tacklers in for the Huskies.
Well, judging from where the markers are, down markers are on the far side of the field, it would appear they're about maybe 1.5 yards or 2 yards shy of the first.
It'll be a fourth down play. You can't see the chalk line at all out there, but it will be about 2 yards, and it will be a fourth down play.
So fourth down already. Wheaton Central has turned the football over twice on downs tonight to Naperville North. Let's see what happens here.
This will be
middle.
Close.
As Matt Eldridge.
The official stops the clock, trying to unpile the players. I predicted wrong on the last one. I don't think I'll predict this one. I'll wait for the men in the striped shirts to tell us what's going on.
Well, the chain gang comes out to confirm it all, and it is
and the
a
Huskies
first and
held.
10 for Naperville North as they will take over possession.
Players were crowded around as the officials were looking for that first down. I couldn't tell exactly how close it was, but from our perspective, it had to have been very, very close.
Well, again, Wheaton Central failing to convert on a fourth down situation tonight. And Naperville North's defense holding. Pitch out to Bart Smith, looks for a hole.
He had a lot of difficulty with his footing on that play. Just couldn't seem to quite get started. Again, coming out to the right side, the near side as we look at the field. Pasco pitched back, and didn't seem as if Bart Smith could ever get started. No gain on the play.
Second down. 7 minutes left to play in the third quarter. Back to throw. Basco throws a wobbler, incomplete. It was tipped by a Wheaton Central player.
There were several players in the area of that football when it came down. It was tipped, and there were 2 or 3 Wheaton Central players who thought they could have had a chance at it. It does fall incomplete, however.
Good pass coverage that time by the Tigers, forcing the third and long situation for the Huskies. Wide receivers to either side. The backs are split behind Pasco. He's got time, and it's incomplete.
That was Mark Grady on the far side again. I think he fell when he tried to make a cut back to the inside, slipped in the wet turf, and never really had a chance to make that completion.
So depending on what happens on this upcoming punt by Naperville North, that tired, weary defense has to come back onto the field.
Yes, it does. Of course, Wheaton Central, I'm sure, thinking of their last block punt just in the last series. They're coming again.
Van Gilder gets it away, fielded on the bounce by Charles at about the 45, and he crosses the midfield stripe inside of Naperville North territory to about the 46.
Finally
so
slid out of bounds.
Good field position again for Wheaton Central. It's going to be tough for a defense on a field like this to have to contend with stopping an offense. It seems like every series in 4-down territory.
Well, it seems that way. You know, at this point in the game, of course, you know, Wheaton Central it'll be a 4-down series every time. They have to go for it. The clock will become a factor. I don't think it is just yet. I think they have plenty of opportunities. but it could become a factor, and they will be a 4-down team as the game progresses.
6:28 to play, third quarter. Almazi, and he is going to be sacked back at the 50-yard line for about a loss of 4 yards in the play.
Almost looked as if there was a miscue on that play. Seemed a little tentative. It looked like he was looking for somebody to pitch to, and there wasn't anybody there.
Well,
there is a player down for the Huskies.
Dave Bendis, defensive end.
He's up now, one of the mainstays of that Husky defensive line. I think he's ready to play, but the coach and the trainer say take a rest, so he's coming off to the near side. Lost a couple yards on that play.
Second and about a dozen yards to go for Wheaton Central. Play action. Lob down the sidelines, off the fingertips, and incomplete.
Lou Scarozzi back to defend for the Huskies. Just got his hand up in time. I think he was step and step with the Wheaton Central receiver and got his hand up just in time to knock the ball away.
Wheaton Central, as we told you at halftime, only 9 yards passing in the first half, a stat that they'd like to improve on.
Well, they've been running the football.
Well, a busted option play, it looked like that time. And in on the stop defensively, number 76, Rob Schmidtgel for Naperville North.
Rob's played very well this year. He's an up-and-coming football player. He's played very well, made several strong plays throughout the season.
Well, there's some all-state candidates on this Wheaton or Naperville North football team, is there not?
I think we're looking especially at the defensive squad. They've got some very strong football players.
This is a snap and the punt.
An excellent punt.
Hangs up there, dropped.
Miscued again. The Huskies have had trouble on the punts, kicking and receiving all evening. Statman tells us it was a 32-yard punt.
.5:11 to play in the third quarter.
Pasco still in the game for the Huskies. He's about the only man left out there with a clean jersey.
Central back at their own 15. Naperville North, rather. Bart Smith on the ball carrier. Little or no gain.
He's been the workhorse this evening for the Huskies. He had 8 carries in the first half. He's carried the ball 3 or 4 times again in the second half. He's been doing the leg work in the trenches for the Huskies.
Wide receivers to either side. I formation. Headed to the tailback. And Smith that time with some yardage. 4:13 left to play in the third quarter. About a pickup of 3 on the play.
Well, if Wheaton can hold them, the Huskies will, of course, have to punt deep from their own territory, and they could end up with good field position once again.
I would think that Wheaton Central would be in a position to block that punt. Pasco on the screen. Complete. He's got his man open in the flat. Good blocking for John Lukin. And Lukin grabbed from behind at about midfield.
That looks like the same screen play that the Huskies set up late in the second half. They've only tried that play twice, and it's been successful both times.
Joe Teixeira making the stop defensively for Wheaton Central. As they move the chains to mark off a first down as Naperville North right at midfield. Just barely inside Central territory. Bart Smith, the ball carrier. Make that Jacoby, the fullback, to the 45-yard line. Jeff Jacoby.
Carried the ball a couple of times in the first half, gained 9 yards. Picked up about 5 on that carry.
Second down and 6 yards to go. Smith in motion to the outside. He takes the pitch, and somebody didn't pick up.
He was met deep in his own backfield.
The left end with good penetration for the sack by Wheaton Central.
I think Bart Smith was lucky to hold on to the football. That defensive end for the Tigers met him just about the time he took the pitch from Tom Pasco. And I think he's glad he just held on to the football.
Well, that was DJ Triba, linebacker, setting up on as a defensive end that time to make the stop, the sack on Pasco. Third down play, Pasco up the middle, complete. And it's a first down.
That's Mark Grady on the completion for the Huskies. They've gone to Mark several times this evening. All of them incomplete until this play here, of course.
So Mark Grady with a nice reception on a fine pass by Tom Pasco.
30 yards on the completion.
First and 10. Naperville North pitch to Bart Smith. And they're not going to let him turn the corner that time. Good pursuit laterally to the outside.
Smith trying to go around the left side. Never really quite set up his blockers. And, of course, as you say, the pursuit from the Tigers was excellent. It forced him out of bounds.
Clock stops with 1:54 left to play in the third quarter. And, again, it's to keep that ball dry.
I believe that's exactly what it is. The official stopping the clock just to keep the ball in reasonable playing condition. Here's where time could become a factor. If the Huskies put together a drive and get a score of almost any type, Wheaton Central will have their backs up against the wall during that fourth quarter.
From the 22-yard line of Wheaton Central, I formation. Second down play, and tripped up in the backfield was Bart Smith, but his momentum took him forward for a short gain.
Pasco taking the signals, of course, from the sidelines. The coach is signaling in all of the plays. Now he's giving directions to his backfield. Looks like some confusion on the part of the Huskies.
Smith will line up outside of a slot formation, and timeout by the Tigers and John Thorne.
A surprise timeout. Given the confusion on the part of the Huskies, the time clock running down, might have expected them to let the clock run. The Huskies may have even been called for a delay of game if they had let that clock run.
Of course, this is an all-important drive here. The way things are going tonight, especially with the Wheaton Central offense not being able to capitalize on the good field position that they have gotten, Frank, this could be the ball game.
This could be. You know, the clock will, if Wheaton Central continues playing the kind of game they have with primarily a running game, they're going to have to score some points. They're going to have to score some points quick. You know, the Huskies had that defensive stand at the line late in the second half and then put together a little drive of their own and scored on a field goal. Of course, you know, this is probably their best drive of the evening as well. Their touchdown score, of course, coming on that return on the punt. So they've put together their own drive here, and they've knocked off about 6 minutes doing it so far.
And, of course, the drive that did set up the 22-yard field goal right before halftime was a good drive as well. 1:02 left to play, third quarter. Naperville North trying to put a little insurance on the scoreboard. Rolling out near side is Pasco. Looks downfield, gunning for the corner. Jacoby, intended receiver, and it's incomplete.
I think there were about 4 players who touched the football on that play at one time or another. 3 of them, I believe, were Wheaton Central defenders. Playing a little volleyball game down in the corner, and of course it went incomplete.
4th down.
Ball at the 20-yard line, within the range of Bruce Reynolds. Kicked a 42-yarder a couple of weeks ago, so it's well within his range. Of course, that's if the footing will hold for him.
There's the snap, the placement, the kick, and it is
no good. That ball to the right, kick to the right. It was long enough, but off to the right. So the Tigers will take over. Begin what they hope will be a drive of their own here.
With 47 seconds to play in the third quarter, Central has yet to get a score on the board tonight. But as we mentioned, they've had the opportunities.
You see the score and some of the loyal Naperville North fans there on your screen.
You've got to be loyal. You've got to like football to be out in the weather like this.
You have to be a real fan. Whichever team you're for, you've got to be a real fan.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Short gain on the play. John Davis, who's been the workhorse tonight on offense for Wheaton Central, got the call that time.
Gain of 4 yards on that play makes it 2nd and 6. And for now, Wheaton Central keeps to their running game.
Again, Davis. And he's going to go nowhere that time.
Looking for room up the middle.
And that will be the last play of the third quarter. So we have 3 quarters in the books, and our score is Naperville North 9 and Wheaton Central nothing.
Well, 9 points can be made up. I think the 12 minutes that's left on the clock is plenty of time for Wheaton Central. As we've said earlier, the Huskies, of course, scored on a big break, a punt return. Same could hold true for Wheaton Central. And there's plenty of time left for them.
Of course, the Tigers' strong suit tonight has been the running game, and John Davis, of course, as we mentioned, doing the bulk of it. But you wonder if the running plays might not hurt them as far as time is concerned, you know, eating up a lot of valuable time off the clock, if they wouldn't be better off trying to pass the football a little bit more.
Well, given better field conditions, you know, that running game, you can always break one loose. But I think given the circumstances that they're playing in, it becomes very difficult to make your cuts, to turn up field quickly, and the pursuit becomes a little bit easier. You have a running back of the caliber that Davis is, it becomes difficult for him to make those cuts.
So we're all set for the final quarter. Play action fake. Almazi turns around, fires, and he hits his intended receiver, Joyce. And he has the first down.
Bruce Reynolds making the stop for the Huskies. That may be their second reception of the evening, if I recall correctly. They had only 1 reception in the first half, that one for 9 yards.
Well, maybe that play will spark a little confidence in the passing game. 1st and 10. Ball is loose.
A miscue on the handoff. The official quickly signals that Wheaton Central maintained possession. I believe they may be in the worst part of the field right now. The footing is treacherous. You can actually see puddles, small puddles of water sitting out there on the field.
You know, you wonder, they're doing a good job. The officials are doing a good job keeping the ball dry tonight and trying to wipe the mud off of it. The player is the quarterback keeping his hands dry.
Right, right.
And it could
and
have been
of course
that
the receivers or the backfield, they go down to their stance, and of course their hands get muddy all over again.
Sure. Second and long. Almazi will have to run. And he throws. And it's intercepted.
That pass intercepted. Bruce Reynolds picking that pass off for the Huskies. Reynolds has been out there all over all evening. He's been on a number of tackles deep in the backfield.
So again, another Wheaton Central drive is killed on the turnover this time.
Huskies take over their own half of the field, ball at about the 47-yard line.
.38 left to play in the game. From their own 46, Pasco on the fake. Going near side, it's complete to Grady, Mark Grady. And he was forced out of bounds that time by Charles.
That pass good for almost 20 yards, of course, a first down. That's 2 long completions in a row to Grady. One in the last series, one again here. I think Pasco showing his arm on that play.
Well, you're right. He does have quite a gun, a howitzer.
Looking for room, nothing up the middle that time for the Huskies. Just a comment on Tom Pasco's throwing arm. He plays baseball in the spring. He's a pitcher for the Huskies. And he's probably known for his fastball in baseball season as well. So the arm and the strong passing doesn't surprise anybody.
So he's basically throwing something all year round.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Arm doesn't have really a chance to get stiff or idle. I formation. From the 32, Pasco, it's intercepted.
That pass intercepted.
That's a big turnover. And making the interception, well, we can't make out exactly who it was.
The pass was intended for Steve Martin of the Huskies. This time Pasco looking for the receiver on the other side of the field.
So a big play that time by the Wheaton Central defense, giving the Tigers the football and plenty of time to get downfield and score. We have 9 minutes and 26 seconds left to play in the ball game. John Davis, or maybe just a little.
The right side of the Husky defensive line meeting him. I think he gained about a yard or 2 on the play. I think with 9:05, the clock will begin to tell here. Wheaton's going to have to put a score up quickly.
Second down and 8 situation. Almazi up, the ball's loose. And let's see as they unpile.
77 Schlenbecker there in the middle.
Mike Schlenbecker stands 5'9", weighs 275 pounds. He's a senior. I'll tell you, when he falls on you, you know it.
Well, the official signaling third down. The Tigers have retained possession. Shuttling in 2 players from the sidelines.
And they tackled from behind the line of scrimmage. Drop for, well, could be right at the line of scrimmage.
No gain on the play. It'll be 4th down.
James Wagner in at quarterback now.
I think this deep in their own territory, the Tigers are going to have to punt. They can't afford to go on a 4th down play just yet.
There's a look at Schlenbecker. Going back to the Naperville North sidelines. 4th down, punting situation for Wheaton Central. Kick not as high, end over end.
That ball touched by the Huskies and then fallen on, I think, by John Lucan, number 24.
Lucan falling on the ball back at about the 33-yard line. Officials will actually end up spotting it at the 35.
Working our way down to 7 minutes left in the football game.
And now it'll be important to see how Naperville North uses the clock from here on out.
Jeff Jacoby on that last carry for the Huskies. Gain of about 4 yards. I think they realize that the clock is becoming a factor.
Of course, Central needs the big turnover and would need a big play here. Trying to get the football back. They got to hold them. And nice tackle that time. Leg tackle.
John Lucan on the carry. He even lost a yard or two there. Tackled behind the line of scrimmage.
Third and 5 situation. These are the type of downs now, Frank, this late in the game that Wheaton Central defense has got to contain on.
They've got to hold. A long drive here for the Huskies would spell doom for Wheaton Central. A flag on the play. It looked to me like it was somebody on the right side of the Husky line moved. That'll probably cost them 5 yards.
Well, the early movement setting the Huskies back 5 yards. And again, a dry ball is shuttled in.
I hate to keep talking about the conditions of the field, but the official didn't even throw his flag. He just held it up and waved it that time. He didn't want it to hit the ground.
Well, those flags don't look yellow anymore.
No.
For 5 minutes left to play, Pasco drops back. He's going for Grady, incomplete.
Right off his hands, hit him in the hands. You can see the skid marks on the field. Grady slid about 5 yards after he reached and fell for
There
that
they
pass.
are. No, somebody didn't try to bring their Yamaha out on the field. It was those are receiver skid marks.
Pass, of course, incomplete.
Fourth down situation and a punting situation here.
Van Gilder back for the Huskies.
He gets the punt away. Charles will field it at his own 30 to the 35, and about that's all as he's forced back.
Looking for room up the middle. Sliding on the turf, or the mud as it is now, gave about 4 Huskies the opportunity to converge.
There's our score, 9-0 in favor of the Naperville North Huskies. 5.5 minutes to play in the ball game. So Wheaton Central with hoping what will be a productive drive.
A break
First
off the
play.
right side.
John Davis, the ball carrier.
Just short of first down yardage. Gain of 8 on the play.
Oh, a correction on that. Matt Eldridge, 6'1" junior. 6'1", 155-pound junior carrying the ball that time for Wheaton Central, and a nice gain.
Davis and Eldridge have been carrying the ball both this evening for the Tigers.
And El Mazi back in at quarterback for this series.
First down yardage on the carry, but a flag on the play.
Now it's going to be a legal motion against Wheaton Central.
That's an unfortunate call at this point in the football game. We're looking at 4.5 minutes to go in the game. They had a drive going, a first down yardage on the play, and an unfortunate penalty.
Of course, the penalty nullifying that first down pickup.
Again, the official calling off the penalty, illegal motion.
4:27 left to go. Second down. And again, nothing.
Gain a very short yardage on that play.
Well, I'll tell you, you trace this game back to the first half with Wheaton Central just before halftime in their last possession of the first half, Frank, driving and not being able to get the football into the end zone, not being able to get it in. And there's a situation where the Naperville North defense was bending but didn't break, and Coach McCune said that's been characteristic of the team all year.
That's been very characteristic.
That they will give up yards. They don't allow the score. And it's complete. Nice leaping catch.
Complete.
I'm going to guess Andy Charles.
Maybe the folks at home can see the numbers better than we can.
Yeah, it is number 2, Andy Charles. Okay.
First down yardage for the Tigers.
I'm sure if the parents aren't here and they're watching this game, they'll recognize their
I think
child,
they probably
their
know
kid.
who's right. An important first down for Wheaton Central. The official again trying to make the ball playable.
Well, we've had a fine mist here tonight, and it's still misting.
It has let up. It was raining rather heavy during the sophomore game, and of course that made the conditions of the field rather treacherous. And then throughout most of the first half, it continued to rain, letting up just a little, and as you say, that mist is still coming down.
Well, that's all that these two teams would have needed tonight on top of the slippery field conditions, the slippery ball, bad visibility.
Right. The clock running now.
And a handoff, nothing on the left side.
Schlenbecker in again for the Huskies, assisted by Chris Pradle.
Right side of the Naperville North defense collapsing on the ball carrier.
I think they're going to give him about a yard on the play, make it 2nd and 9, the ball down to about the 46-yard line in Naperville North territory.
Look at the Wheaton Central line behind Almazi, and a quick pass out, and it's going to be intercepted.
Intercepted.
By number 24, Lucan. And Lucan
I think
is
there's a
brought
very
down.
definite miscue on that play. The receiver to the left side for the Wheaton Central Tigers went downfield about 5 yards, turned and came back. I think the quarterback was looking for something a little deeper and threw it right into Lucan's hands.
So with 2 minutes and 46 seconds left in the ball game, another Wheaton Central drive killed, and that might be the last time that they see the football tonight.
They've turned the ball over a number of times. I haven't been keeping count, but they've turned the ball over several times, each time stopping a drive. Jacoby on the carry for the Huskies.
Well, the ball's been turned over at least 3 or 4 times tonight on downs to Naperville North.
Well, Wheaton Central's had some field position. You know, they've been inside the Husky 50-yard line several times, and in high school football, when you're doing that, you become a 4-down team. And unfortunately, they weren't able to convert.
I'd like to thank the athletic directors from each school, Neil McCauley, the AD at Naperville North, and head coach Larry McCune for their assistance in this broadcast tonight, as well as Wheaton Central AD Ross Trumper, who's the offensive line coach for the Tigers, and his head coach John Thorne for their assistance, and also Mr. Frank Kesman for rescuing us. For stopping by to
Well, I've
handle
enjoyed
the
it this
color
evening,
commentary
Steve. I've
tonight.
enjoyed it. I love being out with the kids. It's an opportunity to be out with the students and their parents. It's an opportunity to see high school football at its best. And the DuPage Valley Conference, I think, is a fine representative of high school football. Wheaton Central calling timeout there. I think the clock is obviously a factor at this point. The Huskies taking advantage of it, running 2 running plays in a row, now being 3rd down. Wheaton Central calls timeout.
Of course, in this particular situation, Coach McCune cannot stress enough, don't cough up the football or do not turn it over.
And that's always a possibility. There have been several miscues on both sides of the line, for the Huskies as well as for the Tigers this evening. Some missed snaps from center, some miscues by the quarterback, and so that's always a possibility. I'm sure that's one of the fundamentals that he's reminding his team of right now.
I'll tell you, a lot of the fans have stuck around. Some have taken off.
I think that's due to the change in the weather. If it had continued to rain, I think the stands would have been more empty than they are.
I have a feeling you're right. Tight formation to guard against possible fumbles. Quick swing out in the flat, complete to Lucan. And he's wrestled out of bounds.
Pasco still getting the calls from the sidelines, taking the signals from the coach.
Well, next week will be in Elgin to bring you the annual showdown between Elgin and Larkin. Larkin High School, starting this weekend's action, is trying to stay alive for a playoff spot in the Upstate 8. And straight ahead,
Jacoby on the
first
carry
down.
again. He's been rather sure-handed this evening. I think, as you said earlier, Steve, the Huskies are looking to just hold on to the football at this point.
I don't believe it. We actually have a white jersey out there. We can read a number, number 21. That's Mark Conforti, who just came into the ball game to play in the defensive secondary.
Bart Smith on the carry for the Huskies, looking for room over the right side, and a timeout again.
And we have 47 seconds left on the clock in this football game.
Well, I would have to say that this particular game has been the kind of game that you might expect it to be given the conditions in the evening.
Not high scoring at all. And, of course, the big play right off the bat, Frank, the 66-yard punt return by Dave Gully to really get Naperville North sparking.
I think that was the big play of the game. You have to call it the big play of the game. It gave them a little bit of an edge. Wheaton Central, of course, had an opportunity to score there in the second half as well and couldn't push it over. And I think the Huskies came out the second half feeling good about their defense. And, in fact, they've been able to hold the Tigers throughout most of the first half as well as again during the second half.
Naperville North will improve to 4-2 in the conference this year and 5-3 overall.
Well, the Huskies' 2 losses this year, of course, to Glenbard North, I believe, who's leading the conference. They're undefeated. Was one of their losses. Their other loss was, of course, to Wheaton North. Wheaton North's homecoming 2 or 3 weeks back. So the Huskies were looking for a good season. I think it's been a good season for them.
Wheaton Central pretty much out of the playoff picture, or really out of it, even entering tonight's action, but Coach Thorne felt that if they could beat Naperville North, it would make their season. Handoff to the fullback, Jacoby.
No gain on the play. The clock coming down to the last half minute of play.
Wheaton Central will fall to 2-4 and an even 4-4. Last season they were 5-4. So next week they have a shot at equaling their 1985 record.
This could be the last play of the game.
Tight formation and falling on the football is Pasco, and that should do it.
The clock ticks down.
And Naperville North has a victory. That's the end of the ball game, and the final score here this evening, Naperville North 9 and Wheaton Central nothing. So, Frank, any final thoughts on the game tonight?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Steve, for the opportunity to participate in the broadcast this evening. I've enjoyed high school football for a number of years. Now I've enjoyed an opportunity to spend the evening with you. I think defense was the name of the game. The conditions of the field, of course, played a part, but I think the defense of the Huskies spelled the game.
And I'll tell you that the Husky defense spent a lot of time on the field tonight, so they did show good endurance.
I think they spent a lot of time on the field. I think the conditions allowed them the opportunity to play strong. You know, when you're an offensive team, a running team such as Wheaton Central is, and you keep trying to run the football under these kinds of conditions, it's very difficult. And I think the Huskies were able to hold on.
Well, there's a look at who are those two guys?
I don't know. I don't know.
Up in the press box. Well, anyways, we'd like to thank our fine crew here tonight as they brave the elements, especially the cameraman. The director and the audio man had a little bit easier tonight. They were in the truck. But, of course, those aren't easy jobs either. Frank, once again, thanks a lot for stopping by.
I appreciate it.
So on behalf of Frank Kesman, I'm Steve Reinert, bidding you so long from Memorial Field in Naperville. Our cameramen, Mike Heffernan and Mark Webb tonight. Audio engineering by Dan Johnson. Sue Trestrail, the character on the character generator tonight. Our director, Mr. Mike Reynolds, doing a fine job all season on our ball games, and this has been a Centel Sports presentation. So long, everyone.